Hey, this is Jimmy Beach with Alien Skin Software. Today, we're going to have a conversation with fine art photographer Theodore Kefalopoulos about creating vignettes and exposure. Theodore, let's talk about why we would want to apply vignette effects to our images.
Hi, Jimmy. My work is all about mood and atmosphere. That's why I use vignettes in order to enhance that aspect of my photography. It's really important to me to apply a basic level of vignettes so that I can draw the viewer's attention to the subject. Vignettes can be used to manipulate light and also give a specific sense of depth to a photo. Depending on your composition, you can use vignettes to go along with some elements of your frame, like rooftops, piers, or horizons. You can apply vignettes according to some straight lines if there are any of them in your photo. Depending on the artwork that you are making, you can also emulate vintage optics using vignettes. We all know that vintage optics had this specific characteristic, which is great if you want to use it.
So, Theodore, let's go over a couple of tips for making better vignettes and exposure.
When you apply a vignette, you should do it in a way that a vignette is part of the frame, not a subject itself. Vignettes should always be subtle and also be interesting at the same time. They should be very distracting to the viewer's eyes. Okay, let's take a look at this specific picture. It's all about a long pier that also holds a strong leading line within the photo. In fact, the basic idea behind this shot is to try to get the position of gazing to the far horizon a bit far to the left. If you look at the initial image, the light comes from the right side of the pier. That doesn't seem very interesting for me. So when you're trying to apply a vignette in this type of photo, the most important part is the point in which you place the vignette's center. It's very important to follow the leading line, but we move the center point to where we want it to be. Then the mood is becoming very interesting. You need to apply a hefty amount of vignette in this type of photo because you essentially raise the light coming from the right side and you move it to the left. Another important thing to consider is that you should always preview your photo in the biggest possible screen fit size. So you should just click on the quotation key on your keyboard so you can see the whole frame. This is very important when you evaluate a vignette.
Theodore, are there any other common issues that you find when you're making vignettes?
Yeah, sometimes when you are applying big amounts of vignettes, you might see some bright edges at the corners of your frame. This doesn't help when you're trying to create a gradual effect of the applied vignette. The edges and the corners become brighter than the center itself, and this creates some sort of circle on the frame, which is aesthetically, we don't want this to happen. What you should do is to follow the spread of the vignette and apply amount and size accordingly. So we're trying to even out the vignette so that it spreads from the center to the edges in an aesthetically acceptable way. For this photo, we should try this one, which eliminates the effect on the edges. We can't see brighter corners anymore, and the vignette spreads evenly from the center of the frame to the edges. Another thing that you might face when you apply a vignette, there might be some parts of the frame where you don't want the vignette to be that evident. Let's take a look at this specific photo, the bush down right. If you think that it's pretty dark, you can click on the brush tool and then select the eraser. Make sure that feather levels is high and flow level is low. So you can pass the brush on top of the specific part gradually, and it will start to remove some intensity of the vignette.
Thanks, Theodore, for sharing some of your insight with us into making better vignettes and exposure. If you're interested in learning more about the controls on the Vignette panel, check out our other Vignette video. If you haven't used exposure before, head over to our website and download the free trial.